Show tonight, the State Independent Electoral Commission has announced local government elections for October 5th as the dispute over the tenure of former council chairman remains a subject of debate.
Local council election on Saturday, the 5th of October 2024, in all the 23 local government areas listed in column 2 of the table and first schedule of this program, in which case one councillor shall be elected in each ward, 2, a chairman and vice chairman shall be elected for each of the local government areas.
Research should not allow interlopers, imposters, to come up and claim to be state chairman or claim to be local government chairman, thereby creating crisis in the party. If such experiences we had in the past occur this moment, it will not speak well. And so IPAC is prepared. We have our documentations. We have made concrete presentation to the research chairman today that these are the persons you should deal with as local party chairman in Rivers State.
Joining me now is Chibike Kenga, Publicity Secretary of the APC Caretaker Committee in Rivers State. Also joining me is Political Affairs Analyst and former Chairman ICAN Lagos and District Council, Alester Wilcox. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the program this evening. We want to hear from you, our viewers. You can join the conversation also on social media using hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Share your thoughts, ask your questions, and let's get the conversation started. Let me begin with you, Mr. Wilcox. They say the governor had to first install his loyalist as caretaker chairman before conducting an election. That's what any governor would do, right?
Any governor should do because that in itself have an aberration to the constitution. But unfortunately, circumstances has brought every governor to do that. It's not peculiar to Simlaya Fubara. Circumstances or what I would call exigencies has always brought a lot of governors to do what is happening right now. Because I also remember that this is not the first time we're having caretaker committees in Rivers State. This is not the first time we're having caretaker committees. Even in Lagos, even in Lagos during the governorship time of the current president, we've had caretaker committees. So I think it's a matter of exigency. But we'll all agree it's an aberration. I'm sure the governor knows it's an aberration. But of course, exigency has brought us to this level. And as of today, by the last count as of today, about 20 states are under caretaker committee arrangements. So it has become a norm, which I'm sure over time, with some legal pronouncement, maybe when the Supreme Court gives a judgment on some of the issues that are before it. I
get you clearly.
Have much more sanity.
And I was actually getting somewhere that this, what we call a norm, for instance, if you consider what's happened in Rivers State, is largely interpreted to mean victory over godfatherism. That's how some people have chosen to read it. Some have called it reclaiming the state for the people. But we've heard this narrative, just a minute, Mr. Wilcox, we've heard this narrative before across board, just like you've said, almost 18 states have written this story. Are we building a system that makes it impossible for politicians to manipulate? Because, you know, you can celebrate the governor today, but it doesn't mean that anything significantly has changed.
Well, with respect to this scenario, like we have in Rivers State, my darling state, I think there are more to it. I think there are a lot of issues that needed to be resolved. Security-wise, the state has not having the best of it since, let's say, since December. The state has not had the best of governance structure. We've had one crisis or the other, and you don't expect an election such as local government to be held under that condition. And so the governor needs to also, as the chief secretary of the state, needs to also clear up some of the issues on the table. And just remember how he's having a running battle with House of Assembly, having a running battle with local government chairman. I think the situation in Rivers has been very ugly, and the governor needs a clear a clear table. We need to remove some of the things on this table and then having a clear table to conduct this election. So that's why I said exigency has brought us to this level. And I think quickly, I understand that what they call it now, October 5 has been fixed for the election. So I think quickly we should get to that point, and that's about 3 months from now. We should get to that point and get this behind us, and they have a more pragmatic, democratic governance in Rivers State.
Let me bring in the Publicity Secretary of the APC Caretaker Committee in Rivers State, Mr. Chibuike Kenga. The APC in Rivers has been an advocate of holding local government elections. I'm sure you spoke about that the last time you were on the show. How's your party reacting to this development?
Okay, thank you for having me. Good evening, listeners. As a party, we were taken aback yesterday when we heard that the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission had fixed local government elections. Ordinarily, we ought to have been invited officially as a critical stakeholder, the APC, but that invitation was not extended to us. And we're only hearing on the pages of newspapers and social media communications about the local government election. Be that as it may, we do need local government elections. But whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. I want to state clearly that there are subsisting court cases that will be determinant to the conduct of local government elections. And once again, the governor and his team are continually taking actions that are tampering with the rest. We have been asked to hold on, maintain status quo, pending determination of the Court of Appeals decision. So we know where to take it from. But every week, the governor, Fubara, and his team take actions to tamper with the rest. Particularly, you are aware that there is a law made by the Rivers State House of Assembly under Right Honorable Martins Amehule, the Speaker. That law is in the court. It's being tested. From the High Court, it has gone to the Appeal Court. You're also aware that there is a decision which was made pursuant to the failure of the government to conduct local government elections as at when due. And that led to taking decisions that would continually prevent vacuum at the local government administration level by extending the tenure of the local government chairman by an additional 6 months. Okay. Within which period the governor and his team would have prepared to conduct the election. This is also subject. This is a subject of.
I hear you, Mr. Kenga. But
these are all the issues.
Let me ask.
These are all the issues that we must resolve before we do election.
I understand your position, but will the APC be participating in the election on October the 5th?
In my opening statement, I did say that we ought to have been invited for that quote-unquote stakeholders meeting they held. They know their reasons why they excluded the APC in Rivers State. They have their reasons. We're still awaiting their invitations to informing us about how the election will be conducted. And then it's only after that we take it off from there.
All right. Mr. Wilcox, you heard the APC spokesperson. His position tallies with that of the former local government chairman, who was saying this decision is in violation of the court's advice for status quo to be maintained. I'm saying that this case is in court. What implications does this have on the legitimacy of this election?
I'm so disappointed, with due respect to the APC. APC is the party I have the greatest of sympathy for. If you have known me, you know how I have stood for the APC, even for the APC in Rivers State. I'm not a card-carrying member. It's a party I have strong respect and strong affinity for. I've defended them right from Rivers State up to the national. So I'm so disappointed and pained at APC's complacency and complicity in what's happening in Rivers State. And with the way my brother had just spoken, it just shows the APC in Rivers State is acting out a script that will further exacerbate the problem in Rivers State. APC should not be a party to what is happening at all. And if APC in Rivers State, my darling state, is thinking in this direction, talking about a situation that was created as to create more instability in Rivers State. Look, talking about the cases in court, I don't think any case in court stopped the governor of Rivers State from conducting local, or the state from conducting local government election. Even if, let's even assume that the so-called elongation of the term of the outgoing local government chairman stays. There is no law that says it is sacrosanct. In between, even if the 6 months, so the utopic 6 months extension, even if it is granted, it doesn't mean that they must complete 6 months. The governor can, at any point in time, conduct an election, and there is no court, there is no so-called status quo, which everybody has defined in their own terms. There's nothing like status quo that ties the hands of the state or the government from conducting the election, sincerely. And I think APC, if they are not complacent in the crisis in Rivers State, should distance themselves and be on the side that election be conducted. They are not parties. I don't think they are parties to all the barrage of litigations that is going on. And that's why I said I'm so shocked and so surprised that our darling state, that a state has produced the great men and women, are now being made a theater of laughter by everybody. Look, we have a state and we have a governor of that state that needs to run and needs to work. The issue before the courts are in the court, and it doesn't stop that the governance of Rivers State should not run.
All right. And
APC, as an opposition party to the government, to the governor, should be encouraging things like this, so that they, at this point, I expect them to be prepared. Because let me just say this: I saw the publication. I saw the publication of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission inviting all stakeholders. However, did they extend individual letters to each of the so-called stakeholders? I don't know them. And APC was excluded. That is wrong. But if there was a publication inviting all stakeholders, I don't think the APC is an excluded.
Hold that thought, Mr. Wilcox. We have to go.
And should be wanting to conduct the election.
We have to go on a short break now, and we'll return with more. Stay with us, everyone. Publicity Secretary of the APC Caretaker Committee in Rivers State, Chibuike Ikenga, and Political Affairs Analyst and former Chairman IPAC Lagos and District Council Lester Wilcox. Gentlemen, thank you for staying the course on the program. Mr. Ikenga, you heard Mr. Wilcox saying that there was a published, statement inviting stakeholders prior to this big announcement. He's wondering if the APC was aware of this. And do you agree that your party is complicit to what's happening in Rivers?
Okay, I don't know him. I don't know the man who introduced himself as Wilcox. And he also did introduce himself as a Rivers man, and how he has fought so hard for the APC in Rivers State. We don't know him. He can claim whatever he wants to claim. If you listen to him clearly, he did say that because other states are using caretaker committee, that it has become a norm, that something that is unconstitutional, an aberration is what he's saying is the proper thing to be done. That tells you the kind of person and belief system he follows. We want to state that we are obedient to the prescriptions of the Constitution. We called for the local government election before the expiration of the term of the office of the local government chairman, and the government did not listen to us. And these cases have become sub judice. Should we take decisions now when the cases are pending before a court? We are not willing to do so. We will await the decision of the courts, because the decision of the courts will affect what will go further. Let me tell you, if the court today rules that the laws made by the Rivers State House Assembly under Martin Samewule are proper, it then means that even the so-called local government election will be affected, because the local government law amendment is part of what will be used in running the election by SEC.
All right.
The man should also be aware that it is the House of Assembly that makes the laws, that states the laws, how the administration of the local government elections.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought for a minute, Mr. Ikenga. Hold that thought for a minute. I'll get back to you, but we're also joined now by Chairman, State Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, Osaro Sosema. Mr. Sosema, thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Give us some clarity as to whether or not the parties, the political parties in Rivers State were, carried along before the decision for October the 5th for the chairmanship election. Mr. Sosema, help us understand if political parties in Rivers State were carried along before the big decision of October the 5th as election day.
Yeah, hello.
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right, yes. Foremostly, the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission invited the political parties, all the political parties, under the auspices of IPAC, to a stakeholders meeting. And that invitation was made a week before the 1st of July stakeholders meeting. And that presupposes that we were taking into cognizance, we were taking into recognition for that invitation to be extended. So I can tell you authoritatively that yes, we were taken into consideration. And we were in the stakeholders meeting yesterday when the timetable was rolled out by the chairman of RISEC, Honorable Justice Adolphus Enebele retired.
So I don't know if you joined this program earlier. The publicity secretary of the APC is on the show, and he categorically stated that the APC wasn't invited.
Well, the publicity secretary of APC knows that they are presently in court. Chief Emeka Beke is challenging the caretaker chairmanship of Chief Tony Okocha. They are in court. And ever since they've been in court, they have not actually participated in all IPAC is doing in Rivers State. Don't forget, IPAC is the umbrella body for all political parties in Rivers State. And so, we had our meetings, they don't attend. And so, that is how would they be invited if they are not, participating in what other political parties are doing. So, I believe because they are in court, and he knows they are in court. Okay?
Mr. Ikenga, you heard the man. APC is in court. Perhaps that's why you haven't been following through with all of these conversations. Do you agree with him?
Okay, I know him very well. He couldn't have spoken anything less. It's an appendage to the government of Rivers State. The IPAC that I know was headed by Chief Desmond Akawa, who was the PDP state chairman. And when he resigned, his deputy, Aaron Friday, took over as IPAC chairman. So I don't understand from where he's coming from. Have they divided their IPAC into two? And by the way, what is his interest in our internal affairs as a party? He doesn't belong to the APC. He is not the national chairman of the APC. He is not the president of Nigeria, who is the leader of the APC. The national chairman and the president of Nigeria have appointed, and the National Executive Committee, through the National Working Committee, have appointed a caretaker committee to run the affairs of the party. Whether you like the faces of those who are there or you don't, whether you agree with the principles of their party or not, as critical stakeholders, you have to extend letters to them and let them make decisions. For you to sit on your own and decide who is in court and who is authentic and who is not authentic is expected. It's expected from someone who is an appendage to the government.
I hear you clearly. Let me bring Mr. Wilcox into this conversation. I'm assuming that you are the only non-partisan fellow on this table, but correct me if I'm wrong, if you're also a card-carrying member of a party in Rivers State. But the Abia North Senator, Orji Uzokalu, has urged the warring parties in Rivers State to sheath their swords and allow peace to reign in the state. He's actually asking that Fubara and Wike should get back to the to talk and mend, their relationship. Do you think there is still room for that kind of arrangement and reconciliation, seeing all that we have gone through in the past months? You might have to unmute yourself, Mr. Wilcox.
Let me first of all...
Hello, are you asking me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right,
Let me
go
first
ahead.
of all correct my brother, Mr. Azubike. You are questioning if Wilcox is from Rivers State. I mean, how dare you, my brother? You are questioning if Wilcox is from Rivers State. If you're a Rivers man, you know that Wilcox is a Rivers name. And if you ask the host, he will tell you how much I have fought for APC. You have not fought for APC. I'm not a card member. The way I have fought for APC. I don't know if you are one of those that must have jumpcated from PDP, APC, and all that. I have stood for APC.
Mr. Wilcox, we have just about 2 more minutes, so would you use that time to answer the question?
Wilcox, I'm from Rivers State. I stood in Rivers State. I'm only working in Lagos. But with respect to your question, I just want to put that foundation to Mr. Zubike. With respect to your question, I think there is still room for reconciliation, despite the fact that a lot of water has passed under the bridge and a lot of interest is compounding the problem. Politicians have a way of settling their matters. Tony Okocha was in APC with Amechi, jumped to PDP with Wike, jumped back to APC. So that's what the way politicians do it. Do their show. So tomorrow, when Wike and Fubara will sit and shake hands, it will be everybody will not be surprised. Politicians can settle, they can settle. So there is still very big room for Governor Sim Fubara and ex-Governor Wike to sit down and resolve their differences. And of course, people can help.
All right.
But with what is happening and the role the PDP imposed candidates of APC in Rivers State, because most of them are PDP apologies.
I hear you, Mr. Wilcox. I'm afraid
that will not solve the problem. But politicians can always solve their problem.
I'm afraid
and resolve their issues.
That's the time. Let me get your closing remark, Mr. Sosema, because if you're following the news, Customs yesterday intercepted a shipment of assorted arms and ammunition, originating, we understand, from Turkey in Rivers, estimated to be worth 4 billion naira. That container on inspection had 844 units of rifles. Does this bother you with how politically volatile the state appears to have been, and what do you think must be done differently? In a minute, if you can.
All right, before I speak on that, let me quickly correct the misimpression Mr. Ikenga, is putting out here. Actually, I'm not surprised because he's living in a delusion of grandeur. He is totally disconnected from the present realities in Rivers State. And
Mr. Sosema, you have 30 seconds. Can you speak to the peace situation in Rivers?
IPAC has new leadership. I was duly elected, and that is why I am today the IPAC chairman. The Mr. Aaron Chukwemeka is talking about I was a political bandit. He tried usurping IPAC, but he didn't succeed. And that made him to excommunicate himself.
Mr. Sosema, what must be done differently to ensure that Rivers is not politically volatile?
Well, on the issue you just raised.
Exactly.
Well, it's a security concern to everybody, to Nigerians, to the Nigeria as a country, and to Rivers State.
All right.
Because if anything wrong in Rivers State, it will invariably affect the entire country. And so it's a serious concern. And I want to believe that the security agents are on the trail to really get down to the nitty-gritty.
Absolutely.
Why?
I hear you clearly, Mr. Soseba. That's our time, gentlemen. A big thank you for coming on the program. Be sure that we'll continue this conversation subsequently. I've been speaking with Chibike Kenga, Publicity Secretary of the APC Caretaker Committee in Rivers State. Also joining me is Political Affairs Analyst Alexa Wilcox and Chairman IPAC in Rivers State, Usaro Sosema. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. That's our show today. If you missed any part of it, you can catch a repeat broadcast at midnight and again at 6 a.m. tomorrow. From all of us here at TVC News, thank you for watching. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. See you again tomorrow.
Following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it's difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? Medical experts agree that walking, running, and jogging are amongst the best ways to stay fit.